Good day, welcome to Endurance Room. Hope you're all doing well. In our last video, we took a look at a Bushcraft backpack loadout that I had set up as a go bag to head out the door if I got a chance to go camping or hiking. It had to be lightweight. It only ended up weighing about 20 pounds. It was convenient and easy to use, so I could set up and tear down my tents and my shelters within like 5 minutes and get back on the trail. You know, you don't want to use a lot of energy up to just make your bed, especially after you've been out in the woods all day. And then it also had to be flexible, so it could handle a variety of weather conditions, whether it's hot weather, cold weather, raining, snowing, whatever. I wanted to be able to have my bases covered. And I managed to do it, and I used predominantly newer, modern, Northern European military surplus to do so. As I was putting it together, I thought it would be really cool to take a look at a different kind of kit that was more in line with the gear I was using in the beginning when I was first getting started, because the last thing I want when I'm making these videos is to turn people away from the woods thinking they need, you know, this piece of gear, that piece of gear to get outside and enjoy nature, because you really don't. You can get out there and get it done with very little. And today we're going to take a look at a kit that will allow pretty much anybody to get outside and do all the things that that newer kit will let you do. So with that, welcome to Endurance Room. All right, so I based this rig on my very first backpack. This is an ALICE medium, old school LC1. It is bone stock except for a grab handle that I added to the top. I've had this pack for at least 15 years. And it was owned by a gentleman named Walter. You know, that's what I refer to. This is Walter, my ALICE pack. I got it in my local Army Navy store for about 30 bucks without a frame, and added the frame a little while ago. Got I think these are LC2 shoulder straps, LC1 kidney pad, and the whole thing ends up weighing 17 pounds without the canteen and water. With full canteen, the canteen cup and the water, it ended up weighing 19 pounds and some change. So pretty good, especially considering it's vintage kit, 30-40-year-old gear. You can find these packs pretty easily on the surplus market, on eBay. 30 or 40 bucks still. A lot of time and money went into developing the ALICE system. You know, guys are still carrying these today. So if that tells you anything, I mean, in spite of all the newer upgrades, guys are still carrying ALICE in the field. So this stuff works, and it's not gonna break the bank. Plus you can customize it, adding on any attachments, any gear you want relatively easily. There's a lot of really cool mods for these, but bone stock just as it is, it works. You know, this one, the only thing that I've done to it is add a carrying handle. I used some nylon webbing and I stitched it on to where the straps attach top of the frame, just to give you something to grab a hold of and manipulate the pack. So there's our backpack, the good old ALICE pack. 30 or 40 bucks, you got a great backpack that should last you a lifetime. It costs a little bit more to get the frame, but you know, this will carry your gear and it'll carry it very well. So on the medium ALICE packs, you have 3 quick access pouches on the exterior, and in here I've got a cutting tool, my Silky Gone Boy. I've used a lot of different folding saws over the years, and you know, the best, hands down, is the Silky stuff. I've got a paracord ridgeline for building shelters, tent stakes for the same, and a watch cap for a warming layer for at night when the weather cools off. In the center pouch, I've got my little ditty bag with cordage, compass, ferro rod, headlamp, extra lighter, Surefire, some fat wood. And on the end, I've got, you know, cotton cloth for pre-filtering water for bandages as a warming layer, and also a pair of leatherwork gloves. On the bottom of the pack, we've got a sleeping pad. This is a hiking pad that Catherine found on the curb. Somebody was throwing it out, so we got this for free. But you can find these at thrift shops, you know, Salvation Army, for, you know, pennies on the dollar compared to what you buy it new on the shelf. And, you know, it's just a foam cushion to sleep on. Keep your body up off the ground, keep you warm. It's just attached with some bank line using Canadian jam knots. Really simple, really easy to do. Something to purify water, carry water, and to cook. I've got a steel water bottle, my canteen cup and the lid in this little USGI Molly 2 canteen carrier. Something to sleep under. Got a hardware store tarp, poly tarp. This was about $8 from Harbor Freight. When I was first getting started, this was all I was running, and a good quality tarp was one of the last things that I added to my system. I was using these, and then I got a hold of my plash palatka, which we'll get to in a minute. But, you know, this will give you adequate cover, and, you know, there's things you can do to make it more viable and more resilient, like Gorilla Tape, duct tape. I just went around the corners with like a 6-inch piece 2 times, and then poked out the hole for the grommet and added some bank line so you have tie downs. It makes it much more resilient and effective as a shelter. So there's our tarp. At the top, we've got a Miltech poncho. You can use this as rainwear, as a ground sheet. You can also use this as part of your sleeping kit, which we'll demonstrate in a minute. Underneath the Miltech tarp, we've got an old school Soviet plash palatka canvas poncho. It's a 6x6 cotton canvas that is very water resistant, but also extremely durable, and it's a multi-use item. You can use it as a warming layer, as a poncho, a ground sheet. You can make a cot, camp chair. I've done so much with these. It's an absolute mainstay in all of my gear. These run about 30 bucks, 40 bucks, depending on where you get it. You can check eBay, any good Russian military surplus store, they should have them, but outstanding piece of gear. Here's another item to sleep on. This is a grabber blanket, a military space blanket. It's got heat reflecting Mylar. It's got probably 100 of these patches on it. I've just added them in as, you know, it's got a burn hole from the fire. I just patched it up and kept it in service, and it's still going. It's still totally usable. It's basically, you know, a waterproof moisture barrier that I use on the ground. And then last but not least, we've got a Whoopee, a poncho liner. This is like an insulated blanket. It's really lightweight. You know, I was at a toss-up between this and the green field bag from the MMS Sleep System, but this is about 30 bucks. The green bag's about 30 bucks too, depending on where you get it. But this is really lightweight, and it's really versatile, and can be combined with these other elements to make a much more robust sleep system, which we're gonna check out right now. So typically what I do in warmer weather, I'll have my space blanket down as a ground sheet, as a moisture barrier. I'll have the Mylar side down, and then, you know, as it starts getting colder, I'll flip it the other way. You know, I'll have my sleeping pad on top of that, fire out front, shelter overhead, good to go. When I'm ready to turn in, I've got my Whoopee as a blanket to cover up in, and that's typically all I need in warmer weather. If it's, you know, it's wet, it's raining, and I want a little more protection, I can add the poncho in over top of the Whoopee. There's grommet holes in the corners and ties in the Whoopee, so you can secure the poncho around the outside of the Whoopee, and then use the snaps to button it shut, and you can make yourself a bivy bag, waterproof sleeping bag that is going to be significantly warmer than just the Whoopee. But if it really starts getting cold, what we can do is make a Ranger roll. You can actually have this already staged stage to go in your backpack, but just lay your poncho down. Put our space blanket inside. And then we add the whoopee on top of that. And then use the ties on the end of the whoopee to secure it all together. Just run it through the 2 grommet holes. Little shoestring knot. And you just go around the full setup and secure that all together. And then you've got a 3-layered sleep system that is going to be significantly warmer than any of the individual components. Much, much warmer than just the whoopee blanket. You know, I would probably put it on par with like the medium weight sleeping bag from the MMS and the bivy. So really, really cool. It's lightweight, it is very flexible in its use. So you can take items out as you need it. You can ditch the sleeping pad, you can ditch the space blanket and just use the whoopee and the poncho. You could add in the palatka, you know, cover yourself up with that for even more insulation and be incredibly, incredibly warm. Plus, you know, the sleeping pad. So a lot of flexibility with some basic items that doesn't weigh a lot and it doesn't cost a lot. So that's our sleep system with our vintage kit. All right, let's throw up a quick shelter with our tarp. Got our paracord ridge line. Basic lean-to, takes no time at all to set up. We got plenty of room for ourselves, for our gear, even a friend. Fire out front, warm weather, good to go. As it gets colder, we can simply just drop one of the corners, you know, tie off in the middle, and you've got 2 sides of cover now. It's going to be a much warmer microclimate on the inside, especially with your fire out front, while still giving you a good field of view. If it gets colder still, now we've got 3 sides of cover, small opening out front for our fire. You could actually block this off with the plush palatka, make an enclosed shelter. And there's plenty of room. There's room for 2 people in here, plus gear. It's kind of low to the ground in the back end. If you take your backpack and stick it up underneath, it'll help prop it up and give you some space, but it's more than adequate. And it is warm. I'm heating up just inside this, just for the, you know, this few seconds I've been inside here. Not too bad for a $10 tarp, right? You got a lot of setup options, whether it's warm weather, cold weather, just close it up more and you're out in the woods working on your skills. $10, a little bit of duct tape, some cordage, you're in the game. You got a viable shelter setup option. That being said, you know, this tarp is probably the first thing I would work on replacing with a better quality tarp. It's just gonna last you longer and, you know, be more resilient. Even 2 plush palatkas, that'll give you a ton of different options with a bomb-proof setup. But this really does convey the point of this video. It doesn't take a lot of money to head out to the woods and work on your skills. You know, another example would be my knife here. I didn't have money for a good bushcraft knife, so I got a $10 Old Hickory butcher knife. I cut the end off of it and reshaped it with a file, resharpened it. I put some new wood on the handle and wrapped it with jute twine. And this has been my primary bushcraft knife for years, and it does everything I could possibly ask for of a woodscraft knife. $10. So that's really what I'm trying to convey. It doesn't take a lot of money or resources or expensive name brand gear to head out to the woods. You know, I made a video last year called Beginning Bushcraft. It talked about the 5 C's and the 10 C's, how to, you know, focus on building your kit up from that framework, and to give you an idea of the skills to work on with each of those items. And you know, that's basically what we've got here today. We've got a 10C kit with a couple of redundancies with our cover elements for more flexibility. That's what I focus on pretty much every bag that I put together, the 10Cs. You know, something to sleep under, something to sleep on, something to sleep in. And then you saw today with, you know, our Ranger roll setup, how much flexibility we had with the individual components, being able to take items out and add them in as we need them. So really cool, something to think about, and it's not gonna break the bank at the end of the day. So I hope this helps. I hope it gives you a lot of ideas and inspires you to head out to the woods and enjoy nature for yourself. All right, everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll catch you soon. Cheers.